So that's the scene there before the march starts. We want to head now to Union County, Waxhaw, where No Kings 2 protest is also happening. Walker Lawson is there. He set the scene for us a little earlier. Walker, what are you seeing there now?
Yeah, well, we are joined by the lovely Diane. You're joining us. She wants to speak a little bit about why you're out here. So, why is this personal to you, and why have you decided to come out here?
Well, first off, all the people here are from Waxhaw, and we all love America. We all really love America, and many of us here have served. I have family members that have served. I am here today for a couple of reasons. One, I want the Epstein files released because I'm sure there's information about our president in there and the public needs to know. Secondly, I want the federal government reopened. I have a son who is considered essential. He works for Homeland. I'm not going to say his name because I want to protect him, but he goes to work every day and he does not get paid. But our Congress people do. But he took an oath and he goes to work every day to do his job the best that he can. We need the government reopened, and the only way that's going to happen is if the Republicans are willing to allow those subsidies for the ACA to be put back in place. My daughter is losing her insurance on the ACA because it's going to go up to $400 a month. She can't afford that. So that's why I'm here today with these lovely people.
When you look at the crowd out here, are you surprised by the number of people that we're seeing? Are you happy to see the support of people uniting out here?
Absolutely. I went to the first No Kings, and this is a bigger crowd, so more people are turning out and having their voices heard.
Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Okay, thank you.
Again, as she said, we're seeing people that are lined up throughout the streets of Waxhaw. As you can see, there are about 8 people lined up. Again, standing with signs, again saying No Kings. Again, as we're just for the most part, again, with their signs placed out down here in downtown.
So that is Walker Lawson there in Waxhaw. A lot happening, obviously, as you saw and you heard that woman who was at the first No Kings protest there and is back for the second one. So many people there, again, protesting and pushing back against President Donald Trump and the Trump administration. Walker, we'll check in with you in just a little bit as things continue to evolve. Again, folks are there in Waxhaw. We have folks in First Ward Park and Charlotte. So many people out there. We had the view from up high, and it just shows you just how many people are there. People are leaving First Ward Park and starting to spill into the street as they prepare for that 1.1 mile march. This is a live look. So many people, as Jeb mentioned earlier, this was slated to start at 10 a.m., but hours before this event, that's when you start seeing folks gather in Uptown. And look, these are not the only locations, Waxhaw, Charlotte, where these No Kings protests. There are several. We have a list on our website. I just want to list some of the cities. Albemarle, Belmont, obviously Charlotte, Concord, Cornelius, Forest City, Lincoln County, Monroe, Morganton, Newton. You saw Waxhaw, but not only in North Carolina, South Carolina, Fort Mill, Indianland, Rock Hill. These are just areas alone in our viewing area. So as you see that big crowd there in First Ward Park, you see folks are starting to make their way to the street where that march will happen any moment now. You can see sort of, because of this view, you get to see sort of all the people shift in waves. But they're making their way to the street, trying to get organized for this march that's about to happen any moment now. WCNC Charlotte's Bria Smith is there in Uptown. We will check in with her in just a moment. We have other shots across the country. First one I think about is Atlanta. where we have another shot where it's up high. You see that is a look at Atlanta. You see so many people there in Atlanta for that No Kings 2 protest that is being held. This is a live look. This is a live look from up high as folks there are gathering, pushing back against the Trump administration. This third demonstration pushback that has happened since President Trump has taken office, and millions of people nationwide. Miami, also, folks are gathering in Miami. This is a live look there. You see a reporter is getting ready there for a live shot. But we just want to show you what's happening across the country. Miami, you see folks in similar fashion, like in Charlotte and Waxhaw and other places where we have cameras where folks are there with signs in hand. You see a lot of American flags. You see signs that say, take your hands off of my democracy. And so this is a overhead view, a bird's eye view of Miami, the streets there in Miami. So many folks taking the time this Saturday morning to make their voices heard. So I want to read this from AP News. So President Trump, and this is from AP News, he spoke with Fox News in an interview early Friday. He said, quote, "They say they're referring to me as a king. I am not a king." He said that before leaving for Mar-a-Lago for a fundraiser there. He is there now. He is not in D.C., but he's in Mar-a-Lago, his Mar-a-Lago home in Florida. Protesters are actually expected to be there Saturday, today. But again, this is a live look back here at home, a live look at First Ward Park. We heard from speakers, several speakers, and after those speeches wrapped up, we there was a song as folks got ready to hit the streets to march. Any moment now, we are expecting folks to march there through uptown, 1.1 miles, then back. And look, folks, and these are not just, although we are expecting more people across the country, so a lot of these folks were at the first No Kings protest and decided to come back for the second one. The first one was back in June. You remember we brought you that extensive coverage here on WCNC Plus. You saw so many people expecting more. That was just 4 months ago. And now millions of Americans are participating again in No Kings protests across the country. A huge demonstration, the one back on June 14th, was the same day President Trump was celebrating his 79th birthday. And there were protests surrounding sort of that celebration of his birthday. At that time, 5 million people crowded the streets nationwide. And so just to kind of give you perspective, I know I listed some protests, and we showed you protests happening across the country. You're talking about 2,500 individual marches today. A lot of marches happening, and we have a lot of live pictures, as many live pictures as we can. We're going to take you there. And a lot, at least 16 in the Charlotte area. This shot right here, Jeb, what shot is this? Oh, this is in Charlotte. This is First Ward. Okay, so it looks like they're getting ready. I actually see one of the organizers that we had here on Live Impact News for an interview sort of laying out the message behind this demonstration. So it looks like they are getting ready. Our camera is there on the ground. Bria Smith is there talking to folks on the ground, so we will hear from her shortly. That camera there on the ground is working to get in position to catch folks as they march along uptown and then back 1.1 miles. But this is a overhead view just to give you perspective on how massive this is. Jeb, you were here back in June. Would you say this one is bigger in context?
Yeah, and you can see the march. It looks like it's just kicking off there, kind of on the top of your screen. Yeah, this really does look like there's more people. I'll tell you, when we were there earlier this year, we were kind of astonished. Charlotte isn't the city that has had protests of this side recently. Of this size, excuse me. So to see this many people, I mean, they estimated that last time, and our great photographer Ben Green, following this march here, this is thousands of people. They estimate we had the organizers on our show yesterday. They said there was about 4,000 people registered online, and if the last protest was any indication, that was about half of the amount of people who ended up showing up. So they had about 4,000 people registered last time and 8,000 people showed up. So they were expecting about the same here. And I'll tell you, looking at this, I mean, this is quite the scene. I mean, I haven't seen a parade like this since the when Charlotte FC plays. So it is interesting to see so many people out there. And I'll actually bring you down to a ground shot. You can see, and I do want to warn some of the signs, some of the language you hear may be vulgar. We can't control that, but we do want to show you raw, unedited feeds of what people are seeing down in that protest. But that's kind of what it looks like. And I'll bring up the aerial shot again because it is so great.
And we were kind of like anticipating this march to happen. We saw folks making their way from the park to the street, and so now you just see people just slowly moving, and it's just 1.1 miles, but
that's a 20-minute walk.
But it's a lot of people to move.
Yeah, I mean it's literally, I would guess, and I mean you look at that amazing shot on the right there. I mean, that is a steady stream of people.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we have, that's a ground level shot, that's an aerial shot. And so many people, like you heard from a woman in Waxhaw, she wants the Epstein files to be released. But there are other people with other grievances regarding the Trump administration. Right now we are in day 18 of the government shutdown, folks voicing their opposition to that who are at this protest. And GOP leaders, look, they have come out and spoken against these protests. I'm reading some of the what GOP. I'm sort of filtering out in real time what they are calling these protesters, but basically describing these rallies as hate America rallies. And so, again, this is No Kings demonstration, a pushback against the Trump administration. Third mass mobilization, if you take a step back and look across the country, since President Trump returned to the White House. And again, as you see there, and as Jeb mentioned, to put it in context, expected to be the largest. You see folks out there on the street marching as we speak. You see Bria Smith getting situated there on the ground, ready to give us an update whenever she can. She's been talking to folks there on the ground, been there since this morning. Let's check in with Bria Smith. Bria, can you hear me? What are you seeing? I see you walking with the folks.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just actually spoke with a young girl who moved here from Boston recently, Nick, and she said that she actually did get emotional to see the amount of people. She wasn't expecting this many people to be here supporting the same message that she had, which was that everyone was equal, and that it made her sad that her people, where she came from, had to go through what they were going through, but she's also proud that this many people are supporting that same message, and she just hopes that people take away peace from this entire protest. So gonna still continue to talk to more people here, Nick, but as you can see, the walk did just start. There's a lot of people, a lot of signs, and everyone's just kind of mimicking that same message as peace and a better tomorrow.
Yeah, you see people from different ages, different backgrounds. I see a woman right behind Bria says, "No troops in our streets," referring to the National Guard presence in cities like Chicago, also Memphis, Tennessee. Bria there walking with folks there at the rally. Again, folks from different backgrounds, different ages, walking that 1.1 mile walk in Uptown. Bria, we'll check in with you in just a little bit as she continues to talk to folks on the ground there in Uptown, First Ward Park. So First Ward Park, let me set the scene for you. There was a rally to begin with. Then Eventually, we heard from several speakers, and folks made their way to the street. So that march just kicked off within like the last 5 to 10 minutes, and we showed you that aerial shot of it. Uptown Charlotte, not the only place where there are protests and where this No Kings demonstration is happening. We want to take you back now to Waxhaw. We've been checking in with Walker Lawson. A lot happening there. It's been loud there. I can hear it now through your mic, Walker. Walk us through what is happening.
Myself as close as I can, so you guys can hear me, but obviously people are chanting again, saying no kings. You know, a message that we really heard from people was they wanted to prove that some people had said that these were not protesting chaos, so this is their, they love it as much as anyone else here. So again, just trying to spread the message of liberty and justice for all is what we see on the signs. Traffic up. Veterans out here, veterans hats, signs that read, of course, we're in downtown Waxhaw, so the biggest issue we're seeing is cars coming through this area. Again, people trying to walk around. So again, if you're out and about, just being mindful as you're driving through these smaller communities or towns, as a lot of people are out crossing the streets.
Walker, before I let you go, I know you talked with one woman who said basically, this is my second time out here. I want the Epstein files released. Have you talked to other folks, their reasons for being out there as well?
Well, everyone again is saying, I will say that Epstein files is something we've heard a lot of in conversation, but again, just saying that they want the government back open since the shutdown. They said it's been too long. We did speak to that woman who said her son is a federal worker and is not getting paid right now, and she believes that elected officials should not be getting paid during this time frame, while people like her son that work in the government are not getting paid. So again, you're hearing Medicare and Medicaid being chanted at us. So again, just an array of topics that have brought people out here again today.
All right, Walker. Yeah, a lot happening there. Folks have been out there for hours. Walker, we'll check in with you in a little bit. And again, so many issues that folks want their voices to be heard on, from Epstein files to health care, the federal government shutdown that is taking place. And so many people, it falls under one big umbrella with this No Kings protest. And basically, just to sum it up, it's they're pushing back against GOP leaders, the Trump administration, and No Kings protests is the second iteration of it. Back in June, we saw crowds similar to this in places like Uptown and all over our area. Just to give you perspective, about 16 demonstrations are happening in our area alone. 2,500, about 2,500. I've been seeing anywhere between 2,500 to 2,600. So I will say just under 3,000 individual marches nationwide. So those No King protests happening in our area include Albemarle, Belmont, of course, Charlotte, Concord, Cornelius, Ford City, Lincoln County, Monroe, Morganton, Newton, Waxhaw, as you just heard there, downtown Waxhaw, Fort Mill, now over the state line in South Carolina, Fort Mill, Indian Rock Hill, and also in Greensboro. We are going to check in with that protest in Greensboro in just moments. We have our content partners there, WFNY, covering the No Kings protest, and again, it's happening all over. We did have a shot in Miami. I don't know if that one is still happening. Atlanta, New York City was going on for some time before we got on. We had a shot of that rally. We heard from some speakers there. Our nation's capital in Florida. I read near President Trump's home, Mar-a-Lago home in Florida. There will be protests. And President Trump is not in D.C. He's in Mar-a-Lago right now. This is okay. So we have a live look at the rally there in D.C. You can see there, folks, again, in similar fashion, on the side of the road, holding signs. We've seen a lot of American flags. That has been the case at these No Kings protests, this second iteration of the protest. I'm going to check to see what our content partners there in DC are reporting. WUSA. Let me read you what. So background. So according to WUSA 9 there in DC, and you see a sign there that says, "We the people love democracy." So according to WUSA 9, our content partners there in Washington, D.C., thousands are expected to descend on the district for the No Kings rally. And so these rallies have been, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, the largest in the country since President Trump returned to the White House for a second term. So they are keeping an eye on that. I'm working to see if they have some more information for us on our website, or on their website, I should say. Okay, about the same as what we have, but just trying to get you specific areas, landmarks, if you're familiar with Washington, D.C. But again, this is a live look aerial view from Washington, D.C., where you see folks are just lined up and down the streets there in the district. You see the helicopter there is circling around. And as soon as we get that shot back up, we'll take you back out there to D.C. But let's take you back out to, is this Waxhaw in preview? Yeah. Okay, let's go back now to Waxhaw. So that is happening. So in Monroe County, there are 2 No Kings protests and demonstrations happening there. So this one is in downtown Waxhaw. There's another one in Monroe. I can give you a specific area in Monroe. Well, I don't have one, but in Monroe there is one. We have it listed on our website. So you see signs everywhere. You see American flags being waved. I saw one sign that said "Honk for Democracy." So in Waxhaw, obviously, this is, if you've ever been to Waxhaw, this is a busy part of town, especially on a Saturday. So folks there, you see that sign in the background. Maybe you can see it, "Honk for Democracy." Folks there letting their voices be heard there on the sidewalks throughout downtown, filtered throughout downtown Waxhaw. So Walker Lawson is there. We'll check back in with him in just moments. And as you heard from that live shot, it is loud out there. We don't have the sound on right now, but it is loud out there. And folks are yelling, are, again, letting their voices be heard. Folks are out there for different reasons. We heard a woman out there that said, "Hey, I want the Epstein files to be released," or, "Hey, my son or daughter is a federal worker." And just keep in mind, we're day 18 into the federal government shutdown. Both sides of the aisle pointing the finger at each other. And the big sticking point is healthcare. And so right now, this is, from last check, third longest shutdown in our nation's history. And so Republicans and Democrats are really trying to figure out, an end solution to this shutdown. But again, you see from both sides where we have crews live in downtown Waxhaw, live in uptown Charlotte. We checked in with Bria Smith, who is, and you see Bria walking through uptown where the march is taking place, talking to different people from different backgrounds, people from everywhere throughout the area coming to uptown. You saw that shot from earlier. I don't know if you saw it, but up high, so many people flooding the streets there. You see this one man, these folks in costume there.
I want to hear from this guy.
Yeah, I am interested to hear from this guy. Can we listen into what? Yep. Let's listen in.
CLARK.
Awesome. So kind of talk to me about, I think what's really interesting is what you're wearing. So kind of talk to me about the message behind your outfit here.
Okay. Lady Liberty needs to put a leash on the lawlessness of the Trump administration.
Absolutely. And kind of talk about, the whole outfit here, though. What went into it? Was it something that was thought out? I know oftentimes messages can come across, with words, but obviously it's powerful when you don't say anything and a message still comes across. So what is that message that you're hoping for?
Well, we're hoping that people will wake up and speak up. Silence is compliance, and what we're seeing going on with the Trump administration, the lawlessness of it all, is just too much for us to take. So we got together and brainstormed about what we could do to peacefully protest against what's happening in our country. And I thought, okay, I need to do something with Donald Trump. Well, it's no king, so why not dress him up like Caesar? And then we came up with the idea of her holding the leash, dressed as Lady Liberty, which represents exactly what we want to see happen. The people overcome tyranny.
Absolutely. What do you hope that people take away from this? I did speak to a younger girl earlier who was really emotional to see. She just moved from Boston to Charlotte to see this many people, and she was just hoping for positive change. What do you kind of hope people take away from this protest?
I hope people see that the solidarity of the people can overcome the tyranny of a government like the Trump administration. That's what we hope, because everybody needs to get out and vote. The midterms are going to be crucial to that. We've got to retake Congress.
Absolutely. Very lastly, there are young, old, middle-aged, all here, but it's really inspiring to see younger kids, right, here. What does that make you feel?
It makes me feel great. It makes me feel like the younger generations are waking up to what's going on. I remember when I was coming up, I was really concerned that there was so much apathy around what's going on, and I think that's largely what got us to where we are today.
Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome.